Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Today, we have a new event for the Data Tech community, Fabric Data Days. In this opportunity, we have some amazing speakers. And well, today we are going to start with Nitish Kota. Nitish is here. Let me add to the session. Hello, Nitish. Nice to
Hey
meet you.
everyone. Hey, good morning.
Thank you for joining us to event to this community. Let me.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting Nicholas. Yeah.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, the session for Nitish is fabric mirroring near real time. Nitish is engineer, architect, Azure Data and AI, and Microsoft, located in Orlando, near to me. Nitish is driving complex migration, modernization, and transformation initiative to Azure, architecting future cloud-native scalable data products, and developing intelligent AI-driven solutions into the database offering in Azure Cloud. Okay, well, Nitish, the session is yours. Go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicholas, for the introduction. Yeah. So I'll skip the introduction page here and I'll directly go to um, the next page. So the session over here I wanted to discuss is about the database mirroring part for the Fabric, right? So, um, but before getting into the mirroring, all I wanted to highlight is you have shortcuts, you have mirroring. Customers, as a customer, you definitely need to analyze which ones to use when and what would be the best scenario to use, right? So if you're saying that I'm good with the shortcuts but mirroring is something I'm looking forward to, then this is a session, right? So but to make the stage, right? So mirroring, we have introduced mirroring in Fabric, so that we could have the start of having one single point of truth for all your data in the Fabric. It's called One Lake, where every your transactional, analytical, or any kind of databases or streaming anything lands into one lake, and then use that one lake as a source of truth to do all your transformations or AI intelligence and build on top of that, right? So, but in general sense, right? So I wanted to discuss on what's the how what people use in general for shortcuts, right? Like shortcuts in a meaning, in a sense, is just a pointers to the external file systems, right? So you're basically sitting in a cloud environment and asking, that transaction to go and then fetch the copies to and then retrieve it for you, right? So and then you on the other end, it's the mirroring is more on the replication or the CDC, right? So sometimes it's also deltas, but in Fabric mirroring for the databases, we have involved CDC change tracking, as well as something we call CDC feed with the SQL Server to 2025 and SQL DB, right? So and 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 most of the time, like you would ask, right, like what does it matter for us, right? So how does the cost affect in this scenario? So often when you think that data movement is you get billed for the egress, right? So that's when shortcuts or like if you're moving a lot of data, it doesn't make sense to pay for that egress cost for the cloud provider, especially on the source. Like source bills you for the egress of the data, right? So and with the mirroring, it's all bill, like it's we're saying that there's no cost associated with the mirroring itself, but you need to pay for the Fabric capacity, and it all depends upon your usage, right? So if you want to query, if you want to do any type of analytical processing, it's all depending upon your workload. You can scale the queue, you can have your own like way to manage the capacity planning for your capacity, right? So and in general, the formats or that like in shortcuts in general, they have open format like Parquet, Delta, CSV, and JSON. But in the mirroring world, it's that you're actually mining from the transactional databases or the workloads, right? So it's more on the transactional or like ops-wise databases that are out there, or even the data platforms, right? So you want to basically extract that information. That's the evolution of what went into database mirroring. And you can obviously understand that latency comes in different pictures, right? So when we talk about latencies for CDC as well as and deltas, it's more of like if you're doing the deltas, right, like deltas is more of pulling your tables, source tables, and saying that at this point of time, I want certain frequency where the copy activity will pull the data out and then put it in the mirror, or the lake house, or whatever you want, like data warehouse, Fabric data warehouse, right? So but with the latency, with the shortcuts is right, like you are actually getting a real time, but it all depends upon your source. It all depends upon your network bandwidth, like the networking layer when you're actually connecting to the cloud. Like it's mostly cross clouds. Let's say you have something on the AWS S3, and then you want to directly get that information into one lake, right? So that adds an additional bandwidth, like firewalls, things like that dictate a lot of things, right? So and in general, Fabric mirroring offers snapshot isolation. That means it guarantees you certain principles of ACID transactions, right? So acidity, concurrency control, and all that, which is important if you are more on a data warehousing instead of a lakehouse platform, right? So it means your data is still a little coupled at some point, which means the identity keys, primary keys talking to foreign keys and all that. So, and end of the day, it all depends upon the impact, right? So what is the impact that you're so sometimes this is critical for enterprise workloads, right? So what customers often ask, like, what is the impact on my source system, right? So and the impact on the mirroring is very lightweight, that we developed this change feed instead of doing the polling, but it all depends. So on the shortcut side, it's all your source that takes the hit, right? So you're actually doing all the compute on your source. That means it's additional overhead for your source environment. And then, yeah, the cost, right? So I've already discussed in the cost. So I just wanted to bring up this picture on why we're, taking the route of the mirroring, right? So, and we want to discuss the advantages of it. So why mirroring? And this is the general overview. Like, so what we are saying is when it's a zero ETL, almost a change data capture level of, getting from the logs, reading from the logs, and then it's basically zero cost for you, and everything on the mirroring is like more of, like you can build all this data factories, Power BI dashboards, and real-time intelligence. Let's say it's in preview, but AI Foundry AI agent is also gonna get into the Fabric so that you can, get that real-time intelligence out there that everybody was looking to, make sure that they can get out of their analytical data warehousing platforms, right? So, and coming to SQL in Fabric, right? So I wanted to discuss on the recent, changes that we have done, a couple of changes with the 2025 release. We have announced the GA of, 2020 SQL Server 2025 in Ignite. And then, so earlier it used to be a change data capture, incremental changes, right, with 2016 to 2022. Now it's more of like we evolved it a little bit to say that, change feed is one thing that we're bringing in. And on-premises server, when you have to mirror that to a Fabric one lake kind of architecture, you would need something called Arc Agent that will provide the system managed identity and other authentication on top of it, right? But with Azure SQL, you do not need that. But all you need is like you'll have to go to one of the blades and enable the security feature, the system managed identity, which I will go over in the next slides. So mirror databases, just an overview of SQL database architecture, and then how it lands into the mirroring database inside Fabric. And the format, you guys would have already know that it's Delta Parquet in one lake. That means it's writing in a specific format that everybody can use, right? And the same thing applies to Postgres and Flexible Server, the other database offerings that we have in Azure. So it's SQL, Postgres, and also Cosmos. The architectures are similar. All you need is enable that certain settings on your source database, and then when you have the Fabric capacity of and the tenant should have certain SKUs, and you're good to mirror, right? And this, I wanted to just give another architecture overview of on-premises, where it goes through certain gateway, and when you have Arc SQL to land into the Fabric one lake, because on-premises, it's not it doesn't mean you're in the cloud, right? So that means extra layer of authentication. So this is an overview for that. But in general, what do you need, right? So when you're preparing SQL database for a mirroring, so as I've already taught, you need the system assigned managed identity, and then there are certain SKUs in the Fabric that we offer. You can go do a free trial of 60-day free trial. Use some of the P and F SKUs out there if you're already in the Fabric, right? So and then one single thing is that to keep in mind is you need to be in the same as your tenant, as like your source database, and your Fabric capacity should be in as your tenant, the same tenant that we expect, right? So if you're in the same, if you're supporting a customer, if you are a customer, you're probably in the same tenant. But if there are things changing, like when you're doing cross args, migrations and things like that, then we need to keep this in mind, right? So and then you'll need to have certain privileges that I wanted to highlight. So this is just a brief demo, I wanted to show you that how you can enable the managed identity. And there's certain identities in preview that you guys will eventually know, but right now it's system identity. And this is where you go: identity, system assign, managed identity. You turn it on, and then once you go into the fabric capacity, you go to new items, and then scroll through all the way down. This is you'll have to do some scrolling. So you go to the mirrored database and select as your SQL database, and then give all the connections out there, right? So so I selected the server name and gave the information out there, and then I did the same thing with the SQL DB, right? So, and once you have that, you can actually go into your fabric capacity and say that, hey, how am I seeing like the mirrored copy, right? So and then you can use Copilot to ask all the information that's out there for your model, that's already landed in the OneLake, right? So it can access that intelligently, and then it basically builds a semantic model, and then it has an endpoint, right? So it accesses that through that, and then builds on top of it. So this is how you visualize at the end of the mirroring. But I just want to quickly go to the next slide. So in general, if you ever have to look into what underneath the covers is, right? So this is how it would be, because you can do that with SQL Server, not with anything else, because that gets you some of the telemetry that's visible, right? So with the managed services, it's little tricky, but this is how underneath the covers, it actually enables a CDC feature and pull, like directly mines the logs. So it's a non-invasive approach, and it has a method to when we talk about CDC, it's all transactional integrity and then watermarks, and it tracks everything for you. And then you have DDL changes that you can also do to the tables, and certain limitations on what DDL changes, right? So, and those are also replicated for you. And in general, I wanted to talk about the storage engine, the design principles. So how did we even think of like coming up with this? But you need to have there's called everybody uses Lakehouse in the data engineering world, but building a data warehouse with certain certain isolations, it was the key to drive this, right? So you're still getting that operational kind of data to exist in the Lakehouse OneLake, along with the Lakehouse in the OneLake, and still get that semantic modeling and better handling of operational data, right? So that's what we wanted, and then that's the reason you see checkpointing, delta logs. All this usually means that we are offering certain types of consistency, isolation levels, and yeah, and often customers or everybody thinks on what are we achieving after we land in our OneLake, right? So end of the day, it's one single point where you land, and then you can use endless possibilities, be it building your Power BI reports, be another Synapse engineering, data engineering pipelines, any of that sort, along with the AI agent coming into the picture, which is in preview. But we're just building, like everything comes, all the agents, like we're just saying that like you have multiple sources, be it even like Oracle, which is in Oracle CDC, which is in preview right now, that we want to have everything land into this, most of your analytical and operational workloads, which you think you want certain intelligence to be built in the backend, right? So, and then this can be used with the cross database querying, intelligence, and everything. And everything is governed. So you have purview for governance, and we have auditing in previews. That means, like, like auditing is very important for some of the enterprise workloads. And then if you have that auditing directly into the one lake, that means half of the times, like, you can basically query as needed when you have to do certain compliance, right? So and yeah, we're saying that, we're giving the snapshot isolation in the mirror fabric data warehouse environment, which is very good for the like the, I would not say loosely coupled, like it fits in the middle of the tightly coupled and loosely coupled data, right? So um, and couple of questions that we usually receive, like how is the Snowflake to Fabric mirroring? What does it differentiate from the Fabric native DB mirroring for SQL, right? So this is still going to one lake, the differences. So what we are saying is, you have changed data capture way of doing in Snowflake, but it's still deltas underneath the covers. It's polling your tables and certain intelligence, with certain intelligence, saying that, if there's activity, we constantly poll, and if there's not, it will go, it will probably take some time away, and it would, that means your compute, constantly is not incurring those resource usage and everything, right? So but on the other hand, DB mirroring completely eliminates that with the CDC feed and all the latest technologies. Like, it's super low impact for your source systems, and on top of that, your DDL support is more in this kind of workloads. Like it offers add, drop, and alter, and with certain limitations to the other things, right? So, and I wanted to go over the general facts that we receive, right? So, if it is a mirror, if a fabric warehouse or a lake house? Yeah, so it's a warehouse. So it means that your metadata is in SQL, but it's just that you can later on build and, combine your lakehouse requirements with a warehouse, because in general this is more on the ops data, but the possibilities are endless once you land into the one lake, right? So so what is the realistic time to set up, right? So it all depends. It depends your initial snapshot, what kind of size and scale that you have, right? So, and then the change data captures are pretty fast because it's more log based, change feeding and advanced level replication that we have used. And keeping like, we have to keep that in mind, that replication is mostly table driven, right? So it's the metadata that you're building on top of the tables, like views and stored procedures, there's minimum can be created again, in the mirrored copy, right? So we're not doing any of that mirroring. And yeah, as we have already discussed on the cost, right? Cost for the mirroring is nil. You'll only have to pay for the fabric usage. And I wanted to quickly highlight on the limitations and behavior part. So if you can still see my screen. So mirroring, there are certain limitations on the table level, and also at the permissions level, that goes deep in, right? So when you actually set up, you can we can walk through, like, you'll understand more on this. But I wanted to quickly go through this table level, right? So with the table level, you have computed columns that you cannot use, and certain columns that we cannot mirror at this time. So if your use cases happens to have some of these columns, then yeah, maybe you'll have to do things a little differently. And there's various other possibilities, right? Writing to a JSON, or that you can probably build using a pipeline in a different way. And then the column level, you have certain limitations with the image, text, and row versions, timestamps. And back to, so yeah, and let me go to the next slide over here. Yeah, in general, I wanted to bring this awareness with this, and then you can definitely Microsoft Fabric mirroring. You can definitely use a REST API to always pull this API and get this information across for any of your other endpoints, right? So building on top of your notebooks and things like that, this is the best way that you can do that. Yeah, with that said, I guess, are there any questions that you want to ask, or the next presentation would be from Lucrio, I guess. Uh, Nicholas, I'll stop sharing if that's okay.
Okay, Nikki, thank you so much. It's very interesting, the new feature after the Microsoft event, no, about the real time. It's very, very exciting to see.
Yeah.
I have one question is about the transactional database. I remember in the past, in the on-premise SQL Server, we can modify, for example, the transaction to get the read committed, read uncommitted. Maybe you remember that. Is possible in this version to do the same or no?
No, right now, this only offers the isolation at the snapshot level. So that's something, the read committed is something I think if it goes under the layers, it's possible at to some extent. But again, the blocking and the other technicalities, right? Like in a snapshot isolation, especially in the Fabric warehouse, it locks the whole table at the table level, even though you're actually talking about the row level information, but the locks are at the table level. So there are certain nitty gritties, certain nuances around it that we have already highlighted in, but I can share you more on top of that.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, well, I can see any question in the chat. Well, everything is clear. Thank you, Nitish, for your time. Well, see you
Thank
in
you.
the next event. Okay, see you soon.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Well, continue the event. Now is the time to the next speaker. Is Lucrecia. Lucrecia is here. Okay. Well, let me add to the session. Hello, Lucrecia. How are you
Hello,
today?
Nicolas. Hello, everyone. So happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation and so excited for this new topic.
Okay, great, great. Well, Lucrecia is MVP in data platform. Lucrecia is located in Orlando, similar to Nitish. And well, today we are to see a great session. Lucrecia, go ahead with your session and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Nicolas. So let me start sharing. Good morning, everyone. Just give me 1 second here. Let me know when you are able to see my screen.
Yes, yes.
So
Excellent.
it's supposed to be starting right now. Okay, perfect. So again, thank you for the invitation. So the session that I'm going to be covering today um, is a series. Last week I was talking about successful planning for the project, and as part of all of that, the single more important uh, starting the project is the requirements gathering workshop for data and AI projects. So that's what we are going to be covering today. My name is Lucrecia Krause, and I have experience implementing projects, programs, transformations from the software, hardware, cloud, data, and AI for USA, Latin America, Europe, Asia. And in the last 5 years, I have been Senior Enterprise Solution Architect, and I'm MVP in the data platform, Fabric and Power BI. So the ingredients for project success is the clear objectives, the project time, cost, quality, communication, leadership, teamwork, and risk. But when we are starting the project, we need solid basis where we are going to construct the project. And that is what help us is to create workshop. Doesn't matter if we are going to run the project in a waterfall, agile, hybrid, the initiation, planning, execution, monitor, control, and closure everything is going to be important. But in the initiation, that's where these type of workshops, where we gather our stakeholders, where we start creating the core teams. So it's really important, because here is where the ideation of what is that the project is going to look like and how we are going to transform. And that's what we are going to be reviewing. I want to start sharing alarming numbers. Gartner says that 85% of all AI projects fail. 50% of AI POCs get canceled. And 60% of AI projects in production cost between 30 and 40% of what was initially planned. So what these numbers are telling us is that the industry is pushing the companies to move into AI really fast, but we need all these solid foundations. That's where the Fabric comes in. But it's not just that we are moving what we have into a new platform. Is really a transformation work that needs to happen for all of this to be successful. So in the agenda, we are going to be first starting with the Fabric benefits, the components, the architectures. It is going to be high level, but this is the type of information that the project manager, the business analyst, the core team that is going to be leading this type of projects, they need to start being aware of what it is. It's not that they need to jump into the project blindly. So it's really important that the core team and the leadership supporting these type of projects, that they get familiar with this type of concept. So we have the Fabric benefits, then we have the roadmap for implementing this type of projects and transformations. Then we are going to review the roles as we are building the core team and the stakeholders that we need to involve. We need to understand the roles in the project, and not just in the project, but going forward. That's part of the transformation. So we need to understand the roles. Then it needs to be a change management component. As you will see, is a lot that is being transformed in this, how the company is going to operate. And then it's also another change management component, that is the governance, how everything is going to be running. And from there, we are going to go into the agenda planning for the workshop. So it's really important that we have Fabric SMEs, that they are going to understand and they are going to be able to share with the organization that the Fabric is a unified platform. And then they need to understand the different components. That is the data engineering component, the data factory, the data science, the real-time intelligence, the data warehouse, Power BI, the OneLake. Then that is a software as a service, and how AI can be enabled. Then they need to also understand, as they are planning all these workshops, requirements gathering, that they need to sell the benefits. So it's a unification platform, the scalability, the collaboration, the velocity. And it's not that they are going to start with everything and all the components, but that's the scalability piece, that they can start small and then they can scale as the needs are changing. Then it's also important that they understand all of these components, and what is that each component is giving, like the features, and what is that they can do. So it's important to also be aware of the use cases, so that way they can start identifying what is that is going to make sense for their own needs for the company. Because we just have half an hour, I'm going to leave it in the presentation, some links that you can go and explore more on your own. And these are all the different areas that that the person that is planning the workshop needs to be aware, because these are the conversations that they will need to drive. Another component is the medallions architecture. Usually the companies, they have the development, test, and then production. But here in the medallions architecture that Fabric has right now, is data is released in stages. And remember, we are unifying. So right now, we will need to be aware of the current state and the future state, because in the future state, this medallions architecture of Fabric is going to play a very interesting role, where they have the bronze, silver, and gold, and this is not the same. It does not translate to the development, test, production. The bronze layer is going to be when you are bringing like your raw data, and then in the silver you are going to start enriching the data sets. You are going to start adding to the raw data, and then in the gold is when you are going to have your curated data that is going to be in a centralized place, and then the different departments, applications are going to use the data in bronze, from bronze, silver, and gold. So right now in the current state, it's really likely that you are going to have 5, 6, 10 departments that each is doing their own transformation, their own data sets. And now we are moving into a centralized place. So it's going to be a lot of collaboration, and it's a very important concept to also take in consideration. At least in the beginning, you need to make sure that the core team is understanding the implications, but also sharing early enough with the rest of the organization. So for that, Microsoft has built what is called the roadmaps. So the roadmap for adoption, and we are going to go into more detail, is remember that it's not just a project. It's a combination of project, program, and also is going to set the organization for success. So that's the transformation component of this type of implementations, where the data culture is going to be enriched. Then is the the ownership and the management. How to make sure that you have the right executive sponsor that is going to be supporting this type of transformation. Is the business alignment, how you're going to also understand what is the use cases, the business needs, and how you are going to start using this unified solution into all the, and it's not that you are going to be just replicating what you have, but how can you do it in a more efficient way? And so let me go into the link so you can take a look of how this roadmap look like, and how all this great information can help you start getting familiar with the Fabric adoption roadmap and all the different components that we will need to take in consideration. So every of these boxes, you are going to find the information here on the left hand side. So for the roadmap, the first concept that you will need to get familiar is the maturity level. What is the maturity level? Maturity level is a framework where we are able to address or identify what is the current state for your organization. So let me scroll a little bit here. So in the maturity level, what this framework propose is that you will be doing like a assessment of each of the you can do it by department, by capability, or maybe by data sets, by applications. So you are going to start addressing everything that you see is like a checklist. Where is that your group is at? So they can be in the initial, that they are just starting to think that they need to move into the data for decision making. Maybe they are gathering comma delimited files that they are ingesting into a Power BI. They don't have a lot of governance, but every time that they are having a new file, they need to repeat the process, for example. But then if it's a group that maybe they already have the repeatable processes that they share in between the organization, so you just need to look into the different checklists, so you can start identifying where in the maturity model is your different processes. So then your strategy is going to be start moving into the different levels. If they are in 100, then you will need to move into the 200, 300, 400, 500. That is going to be the efficient way with all the standards, all the good practices. So that will be the first activity that you will need to do, is start addressing where the different, so that will be your current state. And from there, you are going to start creating all the strategies of how you are going to implement. Then the next one is going to be the data culture. How are you going to start building into the processes that you have? What is that the users are going to be exposing? Are they going to proactively start the journey of moving data into their day to day. How is that the organization is envisioning to start using the new data built into their day to day. And as I was mentioning, this one, the executive sponsorship is down in the pipeline, but this one will need to happen early on, because without the executive sponsorship, the project is not going to go well. So even before the workshop, we need to have the conversation with the executive sponsorship about the strategic vision, the goals, the priorities, the analytics. But if you see, this is not going to be magic or overnight. Just starting the fabric journey is not going to happen the same day. It's an effort. It's a great software as a service, a platform, but we need to plan what is going to look like once that we implement everything, and that will be with key to have the executive sponsorship. Then from here, the business alignment is going to be key, because we need to start prioritizing. So let me go back to the presentation. So I want to mention something else. So as part of the maturity, the implementation of Fabric, the type of adoption is like a top-down, where first is the organization adoption, then is going to be the user adoption, and then is going to be the solution adoption. So that's as part of the roadmap, we need to be aware that at first we are implementing it and getting the sponsorship support at the organization, and then the user adoption component is a good idea. That first we start with a POC with a small group, not roll it out with everyone. And it's kind of odd, because we are saying that it's going to be a centralized process, but in order to get the feet wet of how it looks and how to better use it, is recommended that we start small. And here is also a link to the page that I was showing you with the types of adoption. And here is the link also to the maturity levels. So now that we are starting to understand what is that is Fabric, what is the benefits that it will bring, how it needs to be rolled out with all the proper sponsorship, then the next planning that we will need to start doing is the roles. By understanding the roles is going to help us build the list of who are the people that we need to invite for the starting the project and for the requirements gathering. One tool that help us start mapping what are the roles and who is going to be helping in the project, who is going to be part of the core team, the SMEs, and the RACI template. So I also have here a link for a RACI template. So let me take a look here. So you can download the template, or you can just start one new in Excel. So here, what you are going to have is that you are going to have a role. So you can start building by department. So you have the project leadership, the team members, for example, the sub-teams, the external resources, and you can start creating by different departments. And then, like right here, is going to start we are going to start the preliminary high level of activities that it can be if you are using like a waterfall, you can start with the initiate, plan, execute, control. So we can start the preliminary high level, and here is where the workshop is going to. But if you see, it's a lot of pre-work. Even that is a requirements gathering that is really early. In this particular project with implementing Fabric is a lot of pre-work to have a successful workshop. So then let me go back. So as part of the, I think it's this one, in the Center of Excellence, for example, if you scroll down, it's going to give you more details that is going to guide you. What are the different roles that you want to create in your RACI chart? So, for example, if you are for the department that is the Center of Excellence, for example, is going to tell you that you are going to need a Center of Excellence leader, a coach, a trainer, a data analyst, a data modeler, a creator, data engineer, a user support. So it's a good idea as you are building the RACI, you can go to these different tabs and then you start getting more details of what is the type of roles that you are going to have. Maybe right now it is not called a coach. Maybe you have the data analyst or one data analyst that is being shared in between different departments. So this is going to help you a lot, not just build the structure for the project and who are your stakeholders, but also identify earlier if you don't have this particular role. That it happens a lot of the times is that organizations, maybe they are small, they don't have some of these roles, but it's important. So maybe you can start mapping who's going to be filling that particular role. Okay, so once that you have your RACI, and this is an iterative process. So as you are building your solution, you will need to revisit. This is the preliminary one, and who you are going to be inviting to your workshop. Then the other component, as I was mentioning, is these projects, programs, transformation. They are also creating all these other capabilities that are supporting the implementation of the data strategy. So another one is the Center of Excellence. I'm going to go here into the ones. Okay, so in this one, the Center of Excellence, this is a group that it can be a group similar to a PMO, but it's part of the transformation. In some organizations, they have a change person that is in charge of this one. They don't have a full Center of Excellence. Maybe bigger organizations, they are going to have a Center of Excellence. But even if it's just one person, it's important that the goal of the Center of Excellence is the one that is going to be evangelizing the organization into the data culture, promoting the adoption of analytics, nurturing and mentoring, guiding and educating the internal users on their skills. they are the ones that are going to also be like addressing the gaps, training that your users are going to be needing. So the Center of Excellence is the resources or group of resources that are going to help you roll out this type of solutions. So it's a very important role, and is really important that we start identifying as early as designing the solution, because this role is going to understand, or it's going to be like a liaison with your user community, that is going to help. Maybe they are using other tools and they are not familiar with Power BI. So it's going to be a bigger transformation journey depending on where are you're coming from. So it's really, really important to also take in consideration what is this supporting roles. And even if you are hiring someone new or identifying in the organization who is going to be filling this role, in this section, like the staffing is going to tell you what is the profile for this particular role, the roles, responsibilities, how it fits into the bigger picture. And also in the SMEs, it is going to be a similar section that also is telling you what is the roles and responsibilities for the different roles. Then another important role is the governance. The governance group is also going to be supporting the adoption journey, but this role is going to be like building processes, for example, that what is allowed or not allowed in the organization. If you are going to be bringing the specific data sets, are they in compliance? What are the rules and regulations for the industry that you are working? So if you see, we start with the technical SME of the platform, but then is these other supporting roles, the group that is sponsor, the leadership, sponsorship, but then we have the governance of how it's going to be implemented, and then the change management of how the users and how everyone is going to be embracing the new changes. And then so at this point we are in the pre-work before the workshop. I will say that all this pre-work, it can take at least a month, 6 weeks, to depending on the company size. But it's like thinking really carefully, who is your core team? What is that we are trying to accomplish? How can we have all the leadership commitment for what it means? So I feel that the project manager in this particular type of projects, they need to do really, really detailed diving into what the platform is. A lot of times the technical project managers, they are not the subject matter experts, but in these projects they need to know a lot of the features to be able to guide the groups, to be able to be efficient in bringing different people into the transformation. I feel that another key element will be to have a current state. If you are able to map what are the data, how is the data landscape right now? how many pipelines do we have? Do we have automation built in? Do we have 10 different data sets for the same? So we need, every organization is going to be different, but we need to know what is the current state. And then by being familiar of what is that fabric is going to bring, then you are going to be able to map where we are going, what is the maturity of each of the different groups, because maybe some are already mature enough that they have the pipelines, they have the reusable process, they have the subject matter experts, they already have the change management. So then for those groups, the roadmap is going to be so different if we are starting from scratch, or if you have mixed groups. So maybe you have some groups that are already close to the solution, but then some others are starting the journey. So that's going to be really important, how we understand all of this. And then in the requirements workshop, the agenda is going to look something like, is going to be welcoming the team, is going to be a message from the leadership where we already have their sponsorship. So they are the ones that are going to be opening the call, giving the speech of here is where we are and how we are going to implement it. In a lot of the workshops, this leadership buy-in is being built into the workshop. But if you already have the leaders on board and they are the ones opening the call, is going to bring the organization together into a successful implementation of this journey. In other workshops, I have seen that the core team is being built in these particular workshops or after. But if we already come with a core team assembled, that they have been working for the last month together, understanding what the fabric is, if you already have your RACI chart, you already have identified why you have all the people that you have invited into this meeting, you have clear expectations of what each stakeholder is going to bring. It also is going to be very beneficial if you already have the governance and the center of excellence stakeholders identifying into the group. And then you can also, if the time permits, and in this month and a half, you were able to have a current state, then by now you can give like an overview of what fabric is. You can have different use cases, and then the workshop is going to be a brainstorming of how you already have the current state and the future state. And from there, you can have a productive brainstorming where you can start saying, look, we already did the maturity assessment. This is where we are. This is where we want to go. And how can we start prioritizing? What are the resources that each of the groups have available? Because sometimes the resources are not 100% allocated, so you can start brainstorming, prioritizing, and then the planning workshop is going to be more successful. And with that, I'm going to close here. I'm also leaving you some other references, and if you want to connect with me, here is my LinkedIn, and it was a pleasure to speak today. And let's continue learning and transforming how we do the data implementations in Fabric. So thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation. Thank you, Nicolas. So back to you.
Yes, Lucrecia, very, very interesting, really, really your session. about the data, no, all the analytics, how to manage, etc. It's very, very interesting. Well, thank you so much, Lucrecia, again. Okay,
Thank you,
well, this
Nicolas.
is our last session, last event in this year. Happy holiday for you. The expectation for the community is to continue the next year for more sessions, more activities, maybe in person event, no, for many people around the community. This is the expectation for the next year. Well, again, thank you so much, Lucas.
Thank you, Nicolas. Happy holidays to everyone, and thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
See you. Bye. Okay, now is for the next speaker. This really, really exciting to see here to Mo Rakchik. Okay, Mo is here. Let me add to the scenario. Hi, Mo. Good morning. Good morning. How are you today? It's Saturday. Can you?
Are you able to hear me?
Now, yes. Okay. Well, let me introduce you. Mo, the topic for today is real-time intelligence turning streaming data into a smart decision. Okay, Mo is group manager, data and AI and analytics engineer lead. Mo has 25 years of expertise, specializing in data management, architecture, and analytics, leading cross-functional teams to deliver innovative solutions for complex business challenge. And Mo work with me in the same company. For me, it's really, really exciting to stay together and share knowledge and, well, everything. Okay, welcome, Mo.
Thank you.
Please.
So you're able to hear me, right? My
Now,
sound
yes.
is coming?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me get started. Thank
Mhm.
you. All right, I'll go present it. Share my screen.
Okay.
Share. Okay. So entire screen and okay. All right. So let me, I'm going to start with some, are you able to see, right? So I'm going to
Yes.
start with
Now
the
it's
latest slides.
fine. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, let me go to the presentation mode. So hello, everyone. I think you have already heard about the introduction. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my name. If you look me up, you should be able to find me. And I'm part of Accenture or Evernote, which is collaboration between Accenture and Microsoft. Today, we're going to talk about the real-time intelligence service, which is within Microsoft Fabric, which gives you the ability to get insight and analytics off of your data in motion. Okay, so let's get into that. So speaking of data in motion, we're talking about telemetry, time series, event stream data that is either originating from your physical devices like your IoT devices, any smart meters, any industry, if you look, all of your physical devices are becoming digitized with that smart, I would say devices, and that is emitting telemetry. So that's your one source. Another source is your digital world, which is, it could be your change data capture from your operational databases. It could be your like telemetry generating from your application log, infrastructure log, audit log, all of those. So they are primarily this type of data. To understand, they are basically high volume, high velocity, and coming very fast. They are most of the time semi-structured in nature, which is, Kafka, Kinesis, those type of sources will give you JSON payload. They can also be unstructured free text, and they are normally immutable in the sense you don't modify those. Okay, basically their facts has already happened. Now you're going to get inside of it. So this diagram shows you all the services within Microsoft Fabric that gives you the ability to ingest and process and get insights and act on top of that high volume, high velocity streaming data. So why would we bring that data is basically we want to act on it. And most of the time this type of data has a low latency requirement, meaning you want to act immediately. So the latency sensitive use cases that belong to this category. You can ingest data from all kinds of sources. In the left-hand side, you have certain like Amazon Kinesis, Kafka, Azure DB, PostgreSQL, Event Hub, Confluent Kafka, Apache Kafka, blob storage, IoT Hub, etc., etc. All of those could be your sources to bring the data into the real-time intelligence platform, which is part of Fabric. And there are a few key components that this particular service provides you. One is event stream, which gives you the ability to ingest and process the data. So you're going to capture the data, which is under the hood is IoT Hub, Event Hub. The services are being combined, and that is being packaged as event stream. So that gives you the ability to capture the data as a streaming from all these sources, and then gives you also the ability to do analyze and transform. So you can do filtering, routing, column mapping, aggregation, and you can also act on it if you have a low latency requirement through Activator, which is almost like alerting, or if you want to set a notification, if it's the stream that you are ingesting goes beyond certain threshold, or if you want to trigger a downstream process, or if you want to trigger a Power Automate workflow, or trigger another data processing pipeline. So whatever is your need in your use case, you can use Activator to act on that data. You can also store the data in the event house, which is optimized for this type of data sets, which under the hood is Azure Data Explorer. The language that you use to explore this data is KQL, which is similar to SQL, and you can create within the event house, you'll create the KQL query set through which you're going to analyze and explore the data and build visualization on top of it. So speaking of visualization, you can use real-time dashboard or Power BI. So real-time dashboard gives you the ability to get really low latency visualization off of your streaming data or the time series data. And Power BI also, when you have more complex visualization, you can connect Power BI directly to these data sets and be able to visualize. So as you can see, the destination could be all of this. It could go from event stream. You can send the data to event house, to a lake house, to another downstream stream, trigger an activator, or send it to a custom endpoint. And not only that, all of these are actually, you can see, even a real-time hub, which is giving you the ability to catalog all of these high volume, high velocity streaming data sets within the Fabric ecosystem. And you can also enable them for lakehouse availability as well. So all of the data sets that you are storing here in Event House, that can also be accessible through the one lake. And with that toggle, just a toggle of a button, other lakehouse components can connect and join with these one lake tables. So this is kind of a diagrammatic view. Let me just see if I can change this. Yeah. So this is a little more newer version of that diagram. If you notice, the only component added here is this digital twin builder, which is giving you the ability to model this data, this type of data set, to create a digital representation of your physical world. Like it can connect to all of the different data sets that basically your Fabric ecosystem is currently processing or ingesting, and it gives you an ability to see, to act on that data, to operationalize, particularly those who need to know, need to act on those data with that digital twin builder modeling ontology builder service. So that's an additional which is currently in preview. And now I'm going to go straight. So use cases, you can see this, I would say real-time intelligence use case in every industry. It's basically low latency streaming data need, right? So you can, all of the industry, particularly those who are trying to personalize, in fact, right now, because of there is so much GenAI focus, right? You can see everybody is trying to get fresh data. And this is what the service gives you, the ability to get fresh data and get insight up of it. Okay, so there are many use cases. You can see fraud detection, patient monitoring. Anytime you see there is low latency, like something that needs to act immediately, those are the use cases that belongs to the real-time intelligence. Okay, so we are going to look into a fictional use case for an energy company. So if you think about energy companies, what kind of analytics need that they will require is if they're trying to maintain their grids, like this is your equipment maintenance. They would like to predict the maintenance early on such that they can avoid costly outages, right? So the latency is sensitive, right? And then also supply chain monitoring and any smart meter monitoring and getting insights and acting on those are those type of use cases that we are going to look into this energy and utility use case. So I'm going to jump to the demo now, and I have some recorded demos. My goal is to show you, let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, so one more thing. So the demo that I'm going to showcase is going to ingest, we are going to simulate some, I would say, streaming data, time series data through Event Hub, through some Python notebook. We're going to ingest emission telemetry. We're also going to ingest, think of inventory transactions coming from your ERP system as a change data capture. We are also going to ingest, let's say, financial transactions coming from ERP system. And those we are going to ingest through Event Stream. Then we're going to store it to Event House. We are going to visualize it with Power BI as well as with real-time dashboard. We are going to build out the whole KQL Event House database and their corresponding data sets with the Medallion architecture using KQL queries. And all of these resources or components that we are building out is going to be available. All the streaming data sets are going to be cataloged in the real-time hub, and you can also make them available to the OneLake. Okay, so that's our use case. Now, if I jump to that, one more thing before I jump, Medallion architecture, I think you heard about it. It is an industry practice. Why? Basically your goal is to make sure your data is curated as it is moving through the pipeline. So you ingest it, no matter whether it is batch or streaming. In this case, we are talking about low latency, high volume, high granularity data. You're going to ingest it, you're going to process it, remove duplicates, and sorry, it just kind of got me out. Let me go back to that presentation mode from this slide. So yeah, so basically the goal of the Medallion architecture is to make sure as your data progresses through the pipeline, it is curated, it is clean, and it is shaped in a form in which you are going to deliver it for insights. So you can, in this bronze layer, you're going to ingest it, and the way it works, I'm going to show you the codes. You define some policies, and it's going to continue to write those incoming streams into the bronze table. From there, you're going to, remove the duplicates and create dedupe view of that bronze data. First store it to silver after you ingest from bronze, then clean off the data, cleanse it, enrich it, store it to your silver layer after the cleanup. Then from there, you're going to build some dashboards or build some materialized views, which is summary queries that's going to be stored as materialized views. And that could be the base table for your real-time dashboards as well as Power BI. And you can also set up activator alerts on top of your tables anytime that goes beyond certain threshold. And everywhere you will see also Copilot availability. So Copilot, this is again a no-code, low-code solution. Copilot also gives you the ability to expedite your, building out the solution, because you can use a Copilot to write your KQL queries. You can use Copilot to set up, everywhere you will see KQL query set. You can use Copilot. You can use Copilot in the Power BI. You can use Copilot in all of the other services as well. All right, so now I'm going to jump to the demo. Okay, how much time I have spent? About 15 minutes. Okay, good. So for the demo, I have 3 demos and they are long. So I'm going to try to show, I'm going to fast forward and I'm going to talk as I, progress. Okay, so let me see. So the way you come into the platform is you are going to go to Fabric and you're going to create your own workspace. There you're going to build out all your components for real-time intelligence. Okay, so here in this case, I'm talking about I already have created this, right? And then here all the components, event stream, event house, and all of the activator alert, everything is set up. So I did that particular demonstration already and I captured it. And now how did I build it out is what I'm going to explore in next. Okay, so you can see in this this particular page at the right hand side, let me just fast forward because otherwise it's going to take too long. Even these notebooks is what I'm going to use to simulate that emission stream. Okay, and that's what I'm talking about here. And this is the pipeline or kind of the flow that you have built out or I've built out, which is going to use, it's a custom endpoint. We're going to simulate the emission data generating through a Python notebook. We're going to capture the connectivity information, set up the connection at that custom endpoint. Then we're going to process it, transform the ingested stream with a column mapping, and finally store it to the event house to a table. So we're talking about this particular diagram is showing you that the ingestion has already started. And you can see that the data telemetry, the time series data, emission data is coming in. It is capturing we are talking about an energy company. So the equipments, they are corresponding, gas meter, flare stack gas meter, tank pressure, tank temperature, flare stack temperature, total emission, all of those matrices it's capturing from that streaming data and storing it to this particular emission table. So similarly, I'm also ingesting the finance and inventory transaction as well. So I'm going to fast forward this because these are all similar patterns. So now I'm going to get to that event house. So if you go to the event house, and you can see this is that curated engine, analytics engine, which gives you the ability to analyze your streaming data. And you can see I've created a medallion architecture. It's kind of the way you organize it. You create folder for bronze, silver, gold, and you can see the material as views. The gold folder is sitting under material as view. You define functions which are going to transform the data for your material as views, and you define policies and etc. Okay, so let me fast forward there. Also in this section, you can see it shows you in the right hand side the size. See this toggle one lake. I said that if just a click of a button, you can make these tables or data sets available to the lake house or one lake as well for other services to be able to connect to those data sets. And this middle section is showing you all the different tables that I've already started to ingest. And the data preview will show you that the fresh data is coming in. You can see this is a simulated scenario. In real life, you'll have a real streaming data coming in. And we talked about briefly on the emission data, and it shows you what is the usage currently, right? And the entity diagram, I hope I click on it real quick. Yeah, so entity diagram shows you basically how the data is flowing. Think of it as a lineage diagram. It's like step by step, bronze, silver, gold, different components, that the update policy, the function, the transformation function, and then finally the material as view is the gold layer that is showing you that flow. Okay, so like your bronze, and then your silver in the middle, and your gold material as view as the last data set that you have created. So all of those three different streams that we have ingested or I've ingested is depicted here. So I'm going to move on because we have very little time, and let me just go to the so I'm coming back to the KQL query set. How does all these tables got prepared is obviously you're writing KQL query. In this section, you can also use Copilot. So Copilot will give you the ability, you can ask Copilot in natural language and get the query generated for you and inspect that it is correct and then run it. So that expedites your progress. And these are all the tables in bronze, silver, and gold layer. And KQL query set gives you the ability, this particular, the top one that I selected. First, you create all your tables, then you set up your ingestion, and it will start to get the data loaded. And then step by step, you process all your medallion architecture. You define your functions, define your policies, and material as views, and then that is going to continue to flow and build all these tables or basically load data to these tables. So I'm going to go and proceed. I'm fast forwarding this particular. So you can see these are all, I'm just showing you step by step how we build it out. With the interest of time, I'm going to quickly go. So this is that material as view. You can see the way you create material as views, create or alter material as view, and you define where are you reading from, and define your query in KQL query set. So this is that query, underlying query, which is reading from the silver table right into the gold table. Okay, so that's about the snippet, and there are like similarly lots and lots of material as views that I've created. And then you also can see from the workspace the entity or the lineage diagram. So the previous one we said entity and relationship model. This one you can think of what it is showing you within your workspace, all of the different components and services that you have created, how do they connect to each other? So you can consider it as a lineage diagram because it's a directional. So it's showing like event houses getting the data from all these, streaming sources, event streams. And then it's also after the event house, it's from the event house, the branches that are going out, you're building out your dashboards in real-time intelligence. You're setting up your activator alert, and your KQL query sets are reading from this particular event house as well. So those are all like the lineage diagram. I'm going to pause this one. We're done with this, and I'm going to move on to another slides, another demonstration where I'll a little briefly I'll show you how do you build it out. Okay, so like this is my notebook. As I was telling, I'm simulating my event stream, right? So the notebook is written in Python. It's going to generate some streaming data, and we're going to set this up, or automatically JSON telemetry it's going to generate, and we're going to ingest that data. So these are the 3 notebooks. The way you go is new item, and you're going to say event house. First, you're going to create your event house because you want to store it in event house. So set that up initially, and that's the process I'm going through. This is a live as I was doing earlier. When I recorded this, that's when I was doing it live. So you can see the event house with click of a button, it creates that database. And right now it starts with the 0 KB. You can see your entity, nothing is there right now. So it started from scratch. We're going to query, and we're going to use this query, KQL query set. I had those my queries saved up. So I'm going to paste those here so that I don't have to type it while I'm demonstrating. And I'm going to build out all the tables step by step. Okay, so like basically this is what it is trying to show. So the create table statement, you can see these are all KQL, very similar to SQL, and even you can learn it very easily if you already have experience in SQL. If you also want to expedite your progress, you can use Copilot as well. Okay, so the table and the folder structure you create, and this is how you do the medallion architecture within real-time intelligence services. All right, so I'll move on from there. So first I'm creating all the tables, and I'm going to also set up the service. So I'm creating a custom endpoint. Let me just go a little bit earlier. So now I'm going to set up my event stream. So you come back. So where you're going to add a data source. So where are we going to get? There are different options. I can ingest the data from Event Hub, IoT Hub, OneLake event. I can use some sample data. I can use a custom endpoint. So I used a custom endpoint. I'm giving a name to that endpoint, and I'm going to set this up. Basically, the protocol I'm going to use is Event Hub. This is how you capture the ingestion. Okay, so yeah, so give it a name. This is my endpoint, and then you're going to, when I was building it out, I already had some, yeah. So it creates this, stream capture. You can see it, you are going to ingest the data from this particular event hub, which is that custom endpoint, with the streaming event stream source. Now, these are the protocols for the event hub protocol that we are going to use. You can also use AMQP and Kafka. So we're going to use event hub, and you can see in that SDK sample code gives you that, the credential that you're going to replace your URL, your token, shared access token. So I just pasted it here, and then I'm going to change the connection string and the event hub. So we are going to skip that just to make sure that it is, generating. I'm connecting this notebook's output to that event hub endpoint. Okay. So with that, basically, yeah. So now I am creating the new next string. So I'm going to skip this section because you already know how this works. And I'm going to jump to the, let me see where I can see. Yeah, so see this setup that we did. We started the ingestion, right? We connected that notebook, which is simulating the string, to capture this with the event stream. And now I'm going to store it to the event hub, right? So stream started to come in. This is the finance one. The previous one was the emission one. They are capturing different telemetry, different, data components or attributes. And yeah, so next is, yeah, so it's just showing you all the different components. I'm going to start to put, yeah, so here you can see, as I was telling, as you capture the telemetry, you are going to set up different types. Like right now I'm doing manage fields, like I'm doing the data type casting. You can do all kinds of transformation as well, like, routing, filtering, group by, aggregate, etc. So this section is, I'm just formatting the data, making it in shape, and then I'm going to say that I'm going to store it to an event house. And it's saying like, yeah, what is your destination name? I'm giving the corresponding, event house that I've already created within whatever workspace I'm working on, and the table that I've already created. Remember, we created the shell tables. Now I'm going to connect that streaming ingested string to that table so that it gets stored there. And with this connection, it's going to establish the flow. Now I'm going to publish it. And if you give it a minute or two, it's going to start loading the data to that table. So this is showing you how this was built out. Okay. So the streaming has started to come in. And if we wait for a minute here, we'll be able to see that the emission table is showing you the streaming data coming in. All right. So I'm going to fast forward this again. And you can see these are the transformations that it was showing you, right? So one more layer. Let me just go one more layer. Yeah. So if you see, yeah, in this case, we are doing manage fields, but I wanted you to see that section. But anyway, let's move forward because I'm just browsing fast forward all of those. So I'm going to go more, and yeah, you can see this is all built out live, right? Let me fast forward. So now I'm building out step by step. First, I started that bronze tables. They are all streaming in with the event stream from that simulated time series data I'm generating events stream. Now I'm building out my silver layer, my gold layer, transforming the data, curating it, and then creating my materialized views. So this whole notebook is showing that process step by step. And then you can do the visualization also. So how do you do visualization is basically, so you can take your table. Suppose this is my query. I would like to build a visualization on top of it. Okay. So let me just go back and yeah, it's just showing you. I wanted to see where is the starting point for that. Yeah, so suppose this is the query. You can just say pin to dashboard in this section. So I've written all those queries already. They are all KQL queries. I want to give a name to the dashboard, so I'm just getting it ready. So these are the queries that will be base data for my dashboard. Okay, so I'm going to pin it to dashboard quickly. Yeah, I can. When I click on pin it to dashboard, it says, do you have an existing dashboard or do you want to create a new one? So I'm going to say I'm going to create a new one. And within that, you're going to give a name to the tile, and that's going to start creating your dashboard. Okay, so just to show you how the dashboard looks like, and you can add more and more output. So you can see this is one, right? And then as you build out more queries and you want to visualize those, you can add additional tiles to that dashboard. So this gives you the real low latency visualization on top of your streaming data or telemetry time series data that you're ingesting. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward this because we have very little time, and I'll probably show you what are the final results of these visualizations. And there is also ability for you to enable the refresh. So you can say auto refresh, like as the data is changing in the source tables like bronze, silver, and gold tables, it's going to automatically refresh the dashboard, and I set it up as a 5-minute refresh. Okay, so that's that. Now I'm also going to show you a little bit on the Power BI connection as well. So okay, let me just move on all the way to the end. Suppose this is my query I would like to visualize with Power BI. Okay, so I can say from here, and I will say create a Power BI report, just like I was doing pin to dashboard for real-time intelligence dashboard. Similarly, I'm going to say create Power BI report button. I'm trying to see if it starts to click on it. Yeah, so hopefully it'll start now. Okay, so click on that button. It's opening up Power BI, right? It's going to connect to that data set, the query that you have written, and then it's going to show you the visualization there. It's going to bring that data set over here. You're going to select the corresponding columns that you need, and you build out your visualization. This is a very simple one. I'm just doing a run chart or bar chart. Line chart, and you can save it. You can give it a name. It's going to get established, and you can say where are you going to try to save it, within what workspace. Once it is saved, then you can go to your workspace and open it up. And that's what I'm showing you here. So I'm going to my workspace, and it should show up the Power BI report here. Yeah, there you go. And it's a simple one, just shows you that you can do the visualization both with real-time intelligence and with Power BI Direct query mode as well. All right, so last thing I'm going to show you is activate or basically AI skills, or we call it data agent now. So as you ingest your data sets, sorry, not this one, which is this one. Yeah, I know I still have 5 minutes, I think, Nick. So I think I can show this portion also real quick. So I'm going to build out an AI skill or data agent, meaning this is a chatbot I'm building out. Suppose I don't want my analyst to answer questions to different people and automate. I would like to automate this whole process. I want to give the factory floor a chatbot which they can ask question in natural language, get answer in natural language. Okay, and the data that is they are going to get the answer from is stored in my event house. So what the first thing I'm going to do is, basically this is the build out. I'm asking a question: are there early signs of equipment failure based on temperature spikes? And the answer is it's not able to answer, even though I've added my event house and my event tables data sets into this particular chatbot, right? So first you need to add data sources. So I already did it, but you also need to train the agent. So the training part is basically, this is how you add your data sources. You can add, right now I'm adding my 5 tables. You can see these are my gold and silver tables, and if I ask a question to the agent, it cannot answer it because I need to train it. How do I train it? I have to give it instructions and I have to give it example queries. So that's what I'm going to do next here. So I'm fast forwarding it. Okay, so anyway, let me see. I think I fast forwarded too fast. So let me just go where I'm showing you the instructions. Okay, so set up the data set and yeah. So example queries and data agent instruction, you can see I'm trying to get to where I'm defining this. I believe it's here. Yeah, so the data agent instruction means you're giving the contextual details about this data set, like which table has what type of data. Okay, so this is what agent is going to use to understand if somebody is asking a question, which table has that answer, right? So you're defining all of those tables in natural language, like this table contains this type of data, etc., etc. You load that instruction to the data agent. Okay, that's one step. Second is you're going to give it also some sample queries. Okay, so sample queries is basically you can edit those. You're going to say if a person asks this kind of a natural language question, the corresponding KQL query is that. So you're giving these examples. From that, the agent is going to learn. Okay, and it's going to be able to answer new questions. So that's the goal. So you add questions that as much question as you can, so that your agent can be built and be able to answer and generalize it and be able to answer more questions in future in real life. Okay, so that's the goal. You set it up all. Now initially when I was asking this question, it was saying I don't know the answer, right? Next, second time after loading this instruction and queries, when I ask the same question, it's giving me an answer in natural language, and I can even see how step by step chain of thought this agent has come up to the answer. So it's basically breaking it down. It's saying, okay, this is the question, so let's make it step by step. So first identify the equipment with temperature spike, and it gives you a tabular representation and it gives you the corresponding KQL query as well. Then the next step is identify the temperature threshold. It's looking up the threshold table. So you can see it's breaking it down. Now you're going to connect it. It's going to connect it. Okay, so this is my temperature for my equipment. This is my threshold. So let's see which ones are outside the threshold. That's how it is giving the answer. So you can see I'm asking which wells are likely to need equipment replacement. It gives me the answer in natural language in a tabular bulleted format, right? Or not tabular, but bulleted format. And if you expand that, how did it came up to the answer, you can obviously be able to see how it did it. And it gives you like to white box transparently. You can assess if it is correct or not. So you can see step 1, step 2, step 3, just like I was explaining you, everything is captured. And you can do the, like, you can also verify that the answers are correct or not. Okay, so this is the data agent, we call it, is giving you the ability to build an agent which will answer question, all kinds of question on behalf of you, automated fashion in natural language, question answer in natural language, and it also does it transparently with a step-by-step process, and you can also verify. All right, so with that, that is it. I have stayed all of the many different questions that I've kept it here, and I was like step by step showing the responses and whatnot. So that's pretty much it. That completes my data agent overview as well. And now I'll go back and close this out. Let me see what else we had. That is all. So I'll stop the sharing and go back to where we were. All right. I guess I didn't take too much time. So Nick, go ahead and yeah, thank you. So thanks everyone for listening in. There's a lot of content I covered very fast. I know 3 different demos with 2 hours and some little lecture slides. Hopefully that was, you could able to understand. And if you play the recording and listen it in a slow fashion, maybe you would be able to understand better. But as you can see, this is a low-code, no-code solution. It gives you the ability to very fast enable, bring the streaming data into the platform in Fabric with real-time intelligence and get insight out of it and act on it. All right, back to you, Nick. Thank you.
Okay, Mo, thank you so much. Really interesting to see how to apply the real time in Fabric. It's fantastic, really, really fantastic. But well, we need to see your video in slow motion because very fast. It's a lot of information. No, but it's really, really exciting to see. Well, Mo, thank you so much. Happy holidays. Well, the expectation is come with you in the next year too with the community. And well, thank you so much again. A good Saturday, good weekend.
Thank you, Nick, for arranging this and for having me. Really
Okay.
appreciate all of your support. Thank you very much.
No problem. See you. Bye. Okay, guys. Well, this is the last session is by me. Okay, today we are talking about the SQL database in Fabric. Okay, let me show my presentation really very quickly. I know it's the holiday season, no, the people is thinking about the Christmas, the New Year, no, etc. But well, this is the opportunity to continue see more expectation. Let me show my Windows. What is my Windows? Entire screen. Okay, perfect. Okay, let me. Oh, sorry. One moment. Stop. Okay, start. I'll also share that. Oh, okay, excellent. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you for joining us to this Database Fabric Database. Fabric is fantastic by Datatech Florida. Okay, and today the next speaker is the MVP in Data and AI, Nicolas Nakasone, colleague in US, Nick. Okay, and the topic today is Fabric SQL Database. The SQL Database is a fantastic new release for SaaS world for Fabric. Let me show you about the Fabric SQL Database. Okay, SQL ground to cloud to Fabric, the next generation AI database platform. Okay, maybe you remember, or maybe in this year, the new release for SQL Server is SQL Server 2025. Okay, it's a fantastic new on-premise SQL Server. Okay, but SQL Server usually is running over the Windows. No, remember, but now SQL Server is running over another environment, such as Linux, container, okay, for example, Dockers, no? Kubernetes, no? Okay, this is a fantastic, no? But SQL Server run in another platform. For example, SQL Server enabled by Azure Arc. Azure Arc is for another cloud. For example, you have a virtual machine in Google Cloud or AWS, you can use Azure Arc, for example, okay? Azure Arc enables SQL management instance. This is for your on-prem. You have an on-prem SQL. You can enable the Azure using Azure Arc. Okay, call it SQL managed instance. Okay. The another is the EAS platform using SQL Server on virtual machine in Azure. The another is Azure SQL Managed Instance. This is a very similar SQL, but in Azure, okay? But in Azure, similar to on-prem, okay? The Azure SQL Database is a platform as a services SQL database, okay? But now we have a new version for SQL. Fabric SQL Database is a SaaS SQL. It's fantastic. But behind the scene, you can continue use Transact SQL for developer. For the DBA, you can continue using the engine. You have many tools to manage every kind of SQL. You have Copilot inside the SQL. You have AI, and now Fabric have a new SQL. Okay? Perfect. This is Microsoft Fabric. Fabric have many options to do. Data Factory, real-time intelligence, for example, Mo is showing that. Okay, Nitish is the same, no? Database, this is our focuses today. Analytics, industry solution, Power BI for the reporting, and partner solution. Well, partner solution have many solutions over Fabric. Okay, you can use Copilot in Fabric. Everything in Fabric is one lake. everything in Fabric can use the data governance using Microsoft Purview. Okay. The customer usually want a database with digital, native, and hybrid AI app development. The customer need curate data and reverse ETL. The customer wants operational data store and translytical database. Okay, not only transactional, not only analytical, now is together, is translytical database. Okay, obviously the metadata driving framework, no? Okay, dynamic orchestration and control table is very, very important for the database. Everything now is in Fabric SQL database. Okay. SQL database in Microsoft Fabric build AI application faster and more efficiently on a software as a services database. Okay. 71% faster, 63% more accurate, 83% more confidence. Okay, this is a fantastic number. Really, really. Okay. It focuses on build your application, easily provisioning. Now in my demo, I will show how to provisioning SQL Fabric database in a few minutes. AI assistance, integration from the editors, and support for T-SQL. Okay, for example, you know select star from table. Well, you can use select star from table as usual. And another good news is about the application lifecycle management. No, the famous data ops. No, DevOps over data is data ops. No, source control integration in the Fabric web interface with GitHub and Azure DevOps, database code editing in developer tooling, and SQL package command line tool. This is a very, very important to deploy the lifecycle for DevOps, no? Okay. For example, in the case of GitHub and Azure DevOps, you can commit database object to Git repository, develop again live database, trap object changes, update database from code in Git repository, creating, altering, or removing objects. Okay. For the database code editing in developer tooling, you can use SQL project using Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio. SQL project build, validate object reference, and catches syntax specifically related to SQL database in Fabric. And SQL package command line tool you can use to import and export with the backpack format. No, many people, for example, in the last event in Spanish, okay, talking about the Nick, how to migrate my on-premise SQL server into a Fabric SQL database. It's easy. Only you use your backpack. Okay, okay. Export your backpack, import your backpack in Fabric SQL database. It does it. Okay. This is a very interesting thing. Autonomous capabilities manage your workload. Challenge, database is complex. Solution, SQL database in Fabric enable you to get the best security, availability, and performance configuration. Security by default, auto management, high availability disaster recovery, and auto scaling and auto optimize. For example, I remember in the last SQL Saturday in Fort Lauderdale, I remember one person in the event asking to me, no, Nick, I lost my job. I am DBA. Okay, what is the reason? Because now the software in the cloud is automatic. It's no need to do backup. This is behind the scene. I know needed optimize your database. The cloud is doing that now. Okay, auto scaling. Remember, for example, I remember in the past, no, my server overloaded for many queries or many users, no? Okay, you need to increase your memory, you need to increase your space in your hard disk, no? You increase the CPUs, no? Okay, in hot or no hot, no? Okay, but it's very expensive. You need to buy, you need to create a request, for the finance area, But now this SQL database automatically see what is the new workload, okay, and increase your resources or decrease your resources to avoid spend money, okay. This is autonomous administration. Spend less time planning for speaking workload with serverless. No more serverless, without server. Auto-scale compute and storage. Auto-manage high availability and disaster recovery. Okay, the disaster recovery is very important, but the implementation is very hard, very complex, because, for example, in the on-prem database, you can create the mirroring, you can create the cluster, you can create the always on, okay? But always is the conflict, no? What kind of always on, no? Okay, synchronized, asynchronized, okay, is no? What is the witness in your mirror database, okay? Is in standby, is read only, is write and read, okay? But now it's auto-managed, okay? Your high availability. Fabric support some redundant availability zones were available. With some redundant availability resource automatically replicate across many zones, many regions, okay? For example, if your cloud region is down, okay, automatically you have the auto failover, okay, in another region, and in another cloud is possible with the multi-cloud arc, for example. Get fast and consistent application performance with resource optimization and intelligence auto-indexing. Remember, for example, your query is very slow. Okay, what happening behind the scene? You need to create maintenance tasks such as reveal or organize index, for example, at the statistic, and check DB, for example, to avoid any problem in your database. But now it's automatic, okay? And simple setup, no? Get started in second with intuitive setup experience, okay? A few knowledge for Fabric, okay? Only you need to follow your assistance script, okay? Yeah, continue. Okay, this is the architecture for Fabric, for example. This is the new SQL database. Okay, the another is SQL Analytics endpoint. The SQL Analytics endpoint is to see your OneLake, okay, using Transact SQL language. You have warehouse, you have lakehouse, you have Power BI, but now we are focusing in SQL database. The power of Fabric with no compromise on your SQL operation database. Okay, in this PPT, let me explain one misconception about the SQL database. SQL database is not in Parquet, no. SQL database is the same engine from on-prem or Azure SQL database, okay? But why, Nicolas, is this one? Is to keep the operational database for the compatibility, for the performance, okay? SQL database is using the traditional table way, no column-based format, okay? It's not allowed to do that, okay? But Nick, but if SQL database is in traditional format, what happened with OneLake? Okay. Internally, SQL database is mirroring the data in OneLake to use for another project, another thing, another feature for SQL, okay? If by default, SQL have a secure and governance option. For example, authentication using Microsoft Entra authentication only, okay? Have data encryption at rest using customer management key support, okay? Many people using your own customer key. Well, Fabric is supporting that. Authorization. The authorization is about the workspace role. Now in the demo, I will show how to access in our Fabric, no? Similar to SQL traditional. Auditing for default is enabled. Network security using TLS 1.2 data encryption in Transit, okay? It's possible to use prevailing, is ready to use. And central governance. Microsoft Purview sensitive label and centralized managed protection police. Okay, but this auditing is coming from. Okay, this is for me fantastic feature. Auto scaling, compute, and storage. Auto hireability when some redundance. Secure and governed by default. Auto replicate to one-lay, no ETL. No, I need you see the data in packet format. Is here in real time. Auto indexing, lasted intelligent query processing enhancement. No more upgrade your version. No more put your service pack. Remember in the past, service pack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. I can't remember. Auto backup. Point in time restore available. Okay, I need to restore in this Saturday and 9 a.m. Okay, you can do it. Auto patching for security. Okay, it's really, really exciting. The problem is the DBA task, well, is losing, no? Losing. You need to know how to manage the DBA in cloud, or maybe increase your knowledge in AI, no? In AI. Many customer now is using SQL database in Fabric, improve your that data state. No? For example, AON, okay, Fabric SQL database help us improve our data state in 3 ways: simplification, minimizing data duplication, and improving performance. Okay, let me show you one video about this SQL Fabric. Okay, well, this is a few samples for the customer using now SQL Fabric database. Okay, and well, now is the time to see the demo. Okay, Nicholas, I need to start with SQL database. I need to create my query and see what is the best for this new SaaS offering from Microsoft. Okay, we need to first activate your licensing or your option in Fabric. Okay, usually you need to activate the free trial or your capacity. No, okay. In this case, for example, I this is my profile. No, I put click on this one, free trial. Okay, to activate the free trial. No, you have 60 days to test your Microsoft Fabric. Not only SQL database, everything in database. Okay. Later, you need to create the workspace. The workspace is similar to create your server. Remember, your server, because inside your workspace, we need to create your tables or your object. Okay. Okay. So for to create, this is a video. Okay. How to create a workspace is very easy. Okay. Click on workspace. Click on workspace. Put the name of workspace. No, and choose the correct in advance. you need to choose the correct license or capacity. Okay, well, you put the description. It's always is very important to documentation. Okay, and in advance you can choose the trial or the capacity. No, okay. In this case, well, it's using the trial only for it's free. It's free. Okay. If this is your workspace to start to create the tables. Okay, for example, in this case, this is mine, for example, a screenshot. You see trial, no? And apply and create your workspace. Later, you need to create your database. Remember, the workspace is similar to server. Okay, inside the server, you need to create the second layer is the database. Okay, the database is very similar. Okay, you create in your workspace new item. You have many options, many lake house, real time, etc. Okay, in this case, okay, you see in store data, you see in the category store data, you see the SQL database. Okay, click on that. Okay, put your name. I don't know. Okay, and it's very easy. Okay, in the past, to create, you need to install the server, install the patch, configuring the server, okay, any security. Now is very easy. No? Create database, and in a few minutes you have your database. Your database is empty. Okay. Later you need to create a sample database, or you create your own database, or you import your backpack if you need to you migrating, no, or you on-prem or another SaaS, no. Okay. This is your database very quickly. Okay. This is the option, no? SQL database. Okay. Later, you need to create your initial object, no? For example, in this case, you can create a table, you can create views, you can create a store procedure, you can create functions, okay? It's very easy in your Transact SQL language, okay? Very easy, okay? Well, you can use a Copilot to, okay, to help you if you need it. But well, okay. Okay, let me show you my Fabric SQL database. Okay. 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 Please Fabric. Okay. Share my screen again. Let me. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Now I will show you my Fabric. Okay. 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 This is my Fabric environment. If you see, you can create in workspace. Okay, the first one is to see in your profile. No, you need to activate your trial. No, in my case, I have 52 days left. No, okay. Later, you need to create your workspace. Workspace, for example, you need to put, for example, no, data H Florida. H workspace. Okay. Scroll down in your advanced option, trial, okay, or premium or Fabric capacity, no? Okay, apply. This is our space. Okay. Later, you need to create your SQL database. Okay, this is in store data. You see SQL database. Okay, the name db data tech. Okay, create. Very quickly. It's fantastic. It's really fantastic. Okay. SQL database. Oh, the song is not good. Well, okay. Perfect. Excellent. You see, this is the data tech, your DBO schema. Remember, this is the table, this is the view. Okay. For example, you need to create a sample data. You put this one. Okay. If this one is importing and creating a sample data, this is a Adventure World database. Okay. And well, let me show you, for example, how to create the query. For example, you remember in the past, I have some script, for example, this one. Okay. I will create a table, an easy table. Okay. Run. Okay. In the table, this is my table. Okay. For user, it's the same syntax for SQL. Okay. Later, I will insert one record. Okay. Let me show you. Insert into Frosty the Snowman. Yeah, you know what is the reason. No? It's very cool weather, no? Okay. Fabric user, and you see automatically your data. Okay. Well, if you want to create your select, you see the IntelliSense. Okay. It's no need to complete your sentence, and DBO fabric user. Okay. Column, run, is working fine. Okay. If for the DBA, for example, you need to see how many people is now in your database. Okay. Remember these sentences? SP who to? Yes. This is your sessions. Your session, the people, no? What is the program using? Okay. What is the sentence to use? No? For example, this is my name, no? Maybe you detect a block session, no? Okay, what is the sentences to kill? Kill, no? Kill. For example, I want to kill the 84. Okay, and kill it. No? Let me 84 is no longer yet. Okay, if you kill your session, for example, this one 74. I think so it's not possible, no? No, it's possible because it's your own process, no? Yes, protect you. The life is good, okay? And okay, Nick, what is the way to do security for this database? Oh, great question. For example, in your workspace, for example, in this one, workspace, this one, you have your database, this one, okay? You have the manage permissions, okay? If, for example, as user, for example, you can put the, for example, this is my email, no? You can put, for example, read all the data, no? Okay, using SQL database. Oh, okay. Later, okay, you need to grant the specific object in your SQL database, no? For example, let me show you. Remember, for example, this sentence, grant select, no? On fabric user, this is the table, to, you put the email, okay? This is a granular permission, okay? Because the workspace only see the folder, but not the date, okay? This is the way to do, okay? Well, this is the quickly demo about the SQL database. We can use the Copilot. You can use the SQL store procedure function. Okay, less maintenance. Okay, this is my, okay, it's really, okay, this is the sample database, no? You can create, okay. Nick, I using Management Studio. It's possible to connect Management Studio with this one? Sure. Let me show you. Open in Visual Studio Code or your Management Studio. Okay. You can copy your server name, your database, or directly open in your SQL Management Studio. You can choose 21, 22. The last release is 22 in preview for Management Studio. Okay. And you can connect in your Management Studio. Maybe it's more better, okay, for you to use Management Studio and create your own query, no? Create your specific let me enter my credential. One moment. Okay. Okay, this is my authentication, using MFA, no? Microsoft Multi-Factor Authentication. It's very protected, really, okay? After that, you can enter in your database, okay, the same way in the browser, no? Okay, for example, I prefer to use the Management Studio, no? Because in Management Studio you have many tools, no? For example, the Jeep and another. One moment, let me enter in my cell phone because my cell phone is okay. Authenticator. Okay, unblock. Okay. 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 Excellent. Okay, approve it. Okay, and connected to my workspace, my database, and table, no? Okay, let me see. Yes, Nick is here. Yes, fantastic. My table is here or no? Table. Fabric user, yes, is here. Yes, it's Frosty Snowman for you. Okay. Excellent, guys. This is the session for today. Thank you so much for staying here early today, Saturday. This is the last event for the year. Okay, happy holiday for everyone in our community. Follow us for the next year to next event. The suggestion for the people is to do the next for in person. Okay, this is the goal for the next year for the community. Okay, thank you so much again. Have a good weekend. Have a good holiday, and see you soon in the next year. Bye. Bye.